there's 100,000 people doing it now, like just within a 100-mile radius. We were very quiet. Like literally 1 month we made less than £1,000. But like adapt or die, you've got to understand why that works.
Welcome back to another HdE podcast. On today's episode, we're joined by Tom and Lucas, co-founders of INOV8 Studios. How are you both doing today?
Not too bad, thank you.
Very well, thank you. Yeah.
We have a relationship in terms of our agencies. Obviously, we work in partnership.
I was actually trying to think the other day where I know you and Lucas spoke originally, but I couldn't remember how we came to sort of know of you.
So HdE and INOV8 have been working together for approximately 2.5 years, but I think I met Lucas about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We did a project together when I had an office on Park Street.
Yeah, that was one of your previous companies, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How did you find out about us?
I think
it was Instagram.
Yeah, I think it might have been Instagram, was it? Or I can't remember.
It was so long ago. Genuinely, I can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't even remember what the first project. Oh, the first project was like a water filter thing.
Yeah, I remember thinking. Actually, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, hi Samantha, I hope you're listening. The first project we did together, we were working on like a plumbing device to stop hard water in like hard water areas up and down the UK. And then I remember thinking like that was probably not as exciting for you to get involved with. And then I probably didn't speak to you guys for like 6 months to a year, and then all of a sudden we meet up again and you're traveling around the world and doing all sorts of amazing stuff and with sports cars and amazing brands and companies and stuff like that. And I just remember thinking, Jesus, like we need to work with these guys again.
We don't do so much of that anymore, do we?
No, unfortunately not.
But a lot of this like amazing stuff we did was with one particular client that we had, and although it was like really good experience and amazing things that they got us to do, they unfortunately didn't have much budget, so a lot of what they got us to do was selling more so the experience rather than the actual job itself. So they'll be like, we've got this job in Majev, you get to film like loads of sports cars. In fact, no, Majev was the dogs, wasn't it?
Dogs,
so it's like dogs.
That was a great video.
I really like massive chalet. Ridiculous. Absolutely.
So it was basically filming like a load of dogs running around a chalet, and the concept for the video content was that like lots of rich people want to come here, but as a dog-friendly location, so they thought, what is a cool way that we could sort of show off this chalet? And we could have just done like models posing in the chalet and showing off the rooms and stuff, but they thought what would be really cool is having all these amazing breeds of dogs flown in. They literally had dogs from like all over the place.
There was 2 wolves as well.
Yeah,
like 2 actual wolves. Yeah.
It was crazy. I've got photos on my phone.
It sounds like absolute carnage.
It was. There was like they were
like domesticated.
It was just like a crazy day. There was someone drifting the G-Wagon in like just like I don't even know, like one of the garden areas. It was like massively snowed over, and they just like threw it into a ditch.
Yeah,
whilst everyone was watching.
They had these like amazing cars, and they took the G-Wagon out on the snow, and they ended up getting it stuck in the snow. So they had to call the chalet sort of like host person who came with this big other 4x4 and pulled the G-Wagon out. But yeah, that was like amazing. And but yeah, unfortunately, we did it mainly for the portfolio. And less for like the finance, but amazing experience. But we got to do that.
I think you always do that when you're and this also when you're starting out. You sort of land grab and you take the opportunities when you can. When it doesn't pay really well, if well at all, you go for the opportunities, don't you, to add to your portfolio. We've done it a couple of times, and we've certainly had our fingers burnt in terms of overcommitting onto projects and wanting to do the absolute best. But you know, it's a passion thing, but you don't actually get paid very well for it, and it's like that.
It's experience as well. It's you know, working with different size companies in different industries, and like I said, it's sometimes you are thinking, oh God, why have I done this? There's absolutely nothing in it for me,
but it's
financially. But
I think for us as well, because we've obviously started hiring now as well for certain roles, and we've noticed that just like not enough people are just going out there and doing things for like. I don't think you can just like come into this industry and start charging straight away. You've got to sort of build yourself up, create a bit of a portfolio, and lots of people that go to uni and do like the bare minimum of what they do at uni, which is always like not great. We've not really seen much great work from uni, have we?
We've seen some decent stuff, but nothing that will blow me away.
No, and with us especially, like we can go into it a little bit more, but when we started out, we were going out all the time, like filming just random shit. All my lads swear.
Oh, so you're seeing like people that aren't sort of as enthusiastic as sort of people may have been 5-6 years ago when it comes to like building their own personal skill sets and like.
I reckon Instagram and TikTok's ruined it a little bit because before everyone was like super into creating like these amazing content. Like if I see a really cool photo on Instagram now of like some mountains or I don't know like amazing lakes in New Zealand, I was like seen it a million times now. So many people have taken photos of that. Whereas when we started out, I think it was. People appreciated it a little bit more, and it was a little bit new to like people on Instagram. So, and like we had a bigger passion for it then. Well, I still have a passion for it now, but I used to like take my camera on holiday, film everything I was doing. Whereas like now it is for work, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's got to be quite a hard, bit of a challenge for you guys as content producers and agency owners in terms of that whole Instagram, TikTok world versus what you guys do. Like content on tap, I can make a 15-second reel and a 20-second TikTok in seconds, and it can get millions and millions of impressions, and it might be really poor quality in terms of production value, but it's hitting the money in terms of audience and reach and engagement. Versus what you guys do, which is polished product. Like that's quite a.
It is, but like adapt or die. You've got to understand why that works to be able to like actually implement it into your business. Because yes, we create like amazing content for our clients, but it doesn't always have to be perfectly polished, and that's something we preach. Like within some of the retainer packages we do now, we literally include like phone TikTok reel style content because we know that works. We've seen it work time and time again, and those like fresh like ideas, and sometimes it can be just literally as simple as like one clip, and you got to be at the right place at the right time. You get that one clip, and that's the thing that goes viral. It's just making the most of the time that you've got with the client's product now. So although I completely understand, and it is definitely more accessible, and I think that leads back to Tom's point then. It's like maybe people have lost the passion for it because it's so accessible and they see people doing it every day. But like there's a lot more competition now than when we started, but we've never like kind of really compared ourselves to anybody, to be fair. Like we've always tried to stay on top of like what people need, what works, and what industry specific things work for. So that's something we really pride ourselves on, is understanding the client's needs from a branding perspective, but also from like a target audience perspective, and just making sure whatever we create has like a lot of thought behind it, and we make the absolute most of the shoots, whether that's filming like an amazing brand video or it's literally like filming 20 videos in a day, 5 of which are like TikTok reel style videos.
But that's how it's changed. Is when we started out, we would literally get hired for creating 1 3-minute video, and now like if we don't get 10 pieces of content out of one shoot, it's like we're not making the most out of our time. And it's stressful because it's hard to come up with like lots of different ideas for a day of shooting, and trying to get different people involved is also an issue. So it takes a lot more planning on our end, which we've got quite good at now, haven't we? But yeah, so it's definitely
you've seen
different.
it change quite a lot then over how many years have you been in business together now?
In business, we started off as INOV8 Film maybe 5-6 years ago now. But INOV8 Studios is around 3 years
to explain the whole like INOV8 Film, INOV8 Studios thing. Like
I don't even know how you met.
It's always a funny little story, this.
So we argue about this. It sounds like we're in like a couple or something, but we argue over who DM'd who on Instagram, basically, because I don't know who it was. To be fair, we should probably look back through our Instagram and actually figure out who DM'd.
I'm pretty sure you commented on a video I posted.
But at the time we were both freelancers, and I think it was me, to be fair. I'll accept that. But at the time we were looking for I was looking for like other freelancers in the industry or locally to work with, and I came across Lucas, who was doing it like with your dad for Comstar. So he ran an events company, and you did a lot of work with them, and it was actually quite well paid, had some really good clients, but obviously because it was his dad's, like he got him in on every job, and it worked quite well. I messaged Lucas on Instagram. I was like, do you want to, like back in the day, people used to meet up and then go and film with each other, like film each other walking around, film like if you go on holiday or whatever.
Content.
Yeah, just like content creators coming together, and they would film each other because they both wanted to sort of grow their portfolio.
Yeah, cool.
But maybe they didn't have the work there. So me and Lucas ended up meeting at top of Park Street in Bristol, spending like a whole day walking around, filming each other, big bags on. it was a bit cringe at the time thinking back now, but
the thing is, like now, if you just DM someone and said, "Oh, do you fancy filming a video?" and
yeah, do you want to meet up and film some
Let me
videos?
film you.
Did you feel quite confident, like doing that, the pair of you? Was it quite like weird?
I think I did, to be fair.
I don't think we thought anything of it. It was just normal then to do that. Like we'd done a few after that. We did like a few just like creator trips where we just like organise a bunch of freelance videographers and we just like go to like Dover or go somewhere pretty and just like film it. Like we didn't think anything of it. It's because we were so passionate about what we did. It's obviously increasingly more rare now because the content we were creating then, like Tom said, like he found me because I was the only person doing something in a style that he liked. There's 100,000 people doing it now, like just within a 100-mile radius. So it becomes a lot harder, but also I think again way more accessible. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing it.
And then from there, I think that I was freelancing, Lucas was freelancing, and we started getting each other in on jobs because we liked the content that each other created. So yeah, I had a few clients. Lucas worked primarily with Comstar, which is
I had 2 clients at the time. Comstar, my dad's event business. So I just help out on events.
So we got each other on these jobs, and we did that maybe for like a year. We weren't a business at this point, just 2 freelancers. And I think I don't know if you remember the main reason why we created the business, but it was probably for all the wrong reasons. But the main reason is because we were 2 individuals, and we thought if we want to work with these bigger clients, that they're not going to come to an individual because it just doesn't look as good. They may not think we're as professional. So we thought, why don't we sort of like join forces and create a business, and then it looks a bit more credible instead of like them coming to Tom Miller. They can come to INOV8 Film, which sounds like a lot cooler and a lot more professional. So we discussed names and stuff. And do you want to go into?
Yeah, I think names was a big thing for us back then because we were like, okay, it needs to be short because all of the big companies have short names, so surely that's what works. And we were just sat, like, at the time we didn't have an office, of course, so we were just like, we live about an hour away from each other, so like every other day we'd probably just drive to one of our parents' houses.
That was a pain in the ass as well.
Yeah,
because
that's about a trip, an hour.
Yeah. So at this particular occasion, we were at Tom's mum's house, mum and dad's house, and sat on the end of his bed, just like spitballing names at each other, and we'd go in for about. Sorry, that's so.
Spitball, we were going for like an hour. On Tom's bed. All right, cool. Yeah. Well, lads.
What about how you come up with the name?
So we eventually landed on INOV8 Film. We just thought.
I can't remember what else.
Whose idea was it to use the 8 as opposed to?
We just make it shorter, we saw like at the time we were like googling like, is that Instagram handle available? Because at the time nothing else really mattered. We found the Instagram handle, just like set it up on the day, and then like we were on a job like the following day in our lunch break. We made the website. And we moved very quickly, I think, at the start. But like Tom said, we did it for all the wrong reasons, and it was quite an unconventional way to start a business. Usually there's a lot of thought that goes behind it. You've got some kind of experience. I was a freelancer who pretty much failed all of his qualifications at every level. Tom just finished university studying criminology and law. So we had like no background in business whatsoever, but we just like literally spur of the moment thoughts like, oh, surely if we approach businesses as business, they'd be more interested in working with us. And then for about 2 years, we didn't do anything to build it into an actual business. We were just 2 freelancers getting a monthly paycheck.
Acting the same, but you formed a company.
And then it got serious, I think, in like 2019 or 2020.
Just before COVID, so I don't know if that's
2019. I think it was like November 2019. We're like, okay, like we've got something going here. We're very, very busy.
Yeah.
We're making a decent amount of money, but like, nothing's changed.
We
need to start learning.
It was getting to a point where we needed to bring someone on because we were so busy. But then obviously COVID hit, which basically just like messed everything up for us. And like we were fine because we always have the sort of
we're very frugal.
Yeah, frugal, and also we always save for a rainy day. So throughout COVID, like we did pretty much. Well, we did a little bit of animation stuff here and there, but generally speaking, we had no work on. But we were able to pay ourselves through the whole of it, so we weren't too worried. But then when we got back, I think it was like November.
2020 November.
I don't know what happened. I don't know whether it was just, and it might be the same for you guys. When you get back from COVID, just everyone went crazy with marketing. We just wanted to do everything. So
we were really, really lucky because we started in Jan was when we officially launched our business, and by March it was COVID. Everything locked down. So by that time, me and Dale were at it full time. we dropped
So
everything.
you launched just before COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So then we had a couple of clients on our books, and we just signed a massive contract. Like, me and Dale thought we bloody made it with our one client. We were like, oh my god, this is amazing, incredible. I secured this deal at the end of Jan, and then by March, everything was like, both the clients were just like stopping everything. We're freezing all invoices, budgets are frozen. We don't know what's going on. And
I just moved. We both moved at the time.
Yeah.
I'd moved into an apartment that I definitely couldn't afford, and I was like, "Life's going to be great."
Is that the one we filmed in?
No, not that one before. That one I definitely couldn't afford.
But yeah, it was a really, really weird time, because we literally were like, started a bit like you guys. We were like a couple of, consultant and a freelancer, and then we came together. We're like, yeah, let's start a business. And then no one like saw it coming down the road, and we just completely just like, wow, right, literally the world has gone on stop. But we were very, very, very fortunate, and it's like, I do think it was slightly fluky, but also meant to be, because we were in technology. That was one of the most resilient sectors. Yeah. So the tap turned off overnight, but it got turned on fairly quickly thereafter. Yeah. So by the end of March, we were back into full swing, and we were like, "Oh my god, now we're in business, and we're cooking." But yeah, that was a really.
I think everyone just froze, didn't they? And they were like, "I don't know how this is going to affect my business, or like, can I hire people, or should I not be spending any money, or do I need to go and buy like 10,000 toilet rolls?" Like, no one had a clue what they were doing, and me and Ash were just like, "What the hell?" But yeah, like I said, within like 4 to 6 weeks, the phone started ringing again, and it was like people understood that they're not like bricks and mortar, they're not high street, they're not in retail, like they weren't actually being affected. Yeah. And maybe now we can double down on this opportunity and like grow these like starting scale ups that we were working with that have just been funded, and that they had a lot of work to do behind the scenes, and they needed our support. So all of a sudden we started doubling down as a business, and we were hiring every single month, and we were like growing rapidly but very quietly, because you don't really want to, like, all your friends and families and loved ones are
it's a horrible time.
Yeah, they're losing their jobs and they're being made redundant, so we didn't want to sit there on LinkedIn being like, we're absolutely flying. And
people were hot on that on LinkedIn as well. I saw a few people who were like celebrating success. I personally don't like care either way, because I think I quite like hearing about people's successes. And I also don't. I think if people get put down by other people's success, then I don't think that's right either. But I did see on LinkedIn quite a lot of people were sort of being like, "Why are you celebrating this? Other people are struggling." But you're like, "Come on, like."
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
there's always something going on, right? There's always something.
Yeah, there's always someone who's worse off and someone who's better off.
Yeah, exactly. Always.
But yeah, no, for us, there's two reasons why we survived it. As one, just because we had savings, so we just were able to pay ourselves the same salary the whole way through, which is great.
It was a very low salary at the start. I don't know how we did it, but from when we started the business, we set it was a very like regular but quite on the low end salary that we paid ourselves. We didn't ever miss a month, even
month one.
From month one, we never missed a month of paying ourselves for like 3 years. And we got to the 3 year mark. I was like, I'm not sure how we've done this. We had months where we literally, like in COVID, Tom mentioned, we were very quiet. Like literally 1 month we made less than £1,000 as between us, which is crazy to me as a whole business, only earning like £1,000. But we had to treat that time as what it was, and I think, to be honest, this business probably wouldn't be where it is today without having that kind of time to revisit, relook at the business, actually niche down as well, because we were just like the everything store for video. Like we could, you need us in a pub garden to film whatever, or you need us in like France to film a tour video. Now we're like, okay, so we're tech and e-commerce, and then we specialize in events as well, but tech and e-commerce companies do events, so we can help out on that.
I also think like in Bristol as well, the tech scene is, and obviously you guys are heavily involved in this, but it's crazy. It seems to be so many businesses, and like people like HdE who we work with, they've grown exponentially since we started working with them. And we just really like the tech scene, because we like filming sort of like hardware style tech, so in the studio, that sort of thing, but then also like software type stuff, like explainer videos and all that kind of stuff. But no, I just like the tech scene in general in Bristol. It seems to be popping at the moment.
I think in the UK as a whole, to be honest, I think we're very, just reflecting on the COVID stuff, very, very lucky that we pinned our hats to the fact that we are a technology marketing agency, and that's all we want to work with. I think if we were in bricks and mortar or retail or e-commerce is probably a good one to be in as well during COVID, as you boys probably saw as well. But like, there's quite a few industries where if we had started out in January, by March we would actually gone bust as an agency. So we're very, very lucky and grateful in terms of what we've got. But I would never obviously want COVID ever to come back again and lockdown ever to come back down again. But I do wish I had that time back and know what I know now. So when we were literally shitting our pants in the March, thinking it's all like the world's about to end, I wish I knew what I know now. From a personal perspective, but also from a business perspective, in terms of what I could have done to make that time better, and have a bit of foresight as well in terms of what was coming down the line. Because I think there's, again, we were just starting out, but I would love to be in that position now with the things I've learned over the last 3 years, because
100%.
I would be much more prepared. In terms of staff, in terms of plans, in terms of like actions with clients, in terms of project management, all that kind of stuff. Literally, when it hit, it was just me and him in our pants in our houses, our flats.
Sounds like us.
Yeah, pants. It wasn't the uniform. It was just hot. It was hot. Wasn't it, Duff? Yeah. Okay. But I wish I knew all that stuff now, because I think could have taken advantage of that downtime and that time to ourselves as well, in terms of preparing ourselves for the next couple of years as well. Because we started out as like consultant freelance, coming together a bit like you guys, and the business just kind of happened. We got a couple of clients, and it's we now need a process for this and a process for that, and an accountant, and then we need this, we need that, and there's all of a sudden that's the business. But our mindset didn't change. We were just like Del and Ash. We're like going out. We're gonna win clients. We're gonna do really good work, and we're gonna all the rest of it. So
I think similar to us, like if you believe in what you're doing, you believe it can make like real impact in a certain sector, and you actually enjoy it, and you're very keen on just providing the best results, whether that's marketing based, content based, whatever. I feel like you will succeed, like just with a little bit of grit, determination, and money, I suppose.
Grit, determination, and money.
So if you fast forward right through to today, then is the business is completely different. You've hired people now. You've got a team, and what does it look like now? What's changed?
Complete 180, to be honest. Like we said when we started, we knew nothing. So I think 3 years ago, I made and Tom made a valiant effort to like learn how to run a business. So like podcasts, YouTube, everything, try and absorb as much information as we could in the shortest period of time, because we were actually doing it day to day. And then I think the biggest change happened about 1.5 years ago, when we just got too busy to function. So we just started bringing on team members left, right and centre, just to help facilitate the workload. And then about 1 year ago, we pre-launched a service that had been my baby for about 6 months prior to that, of like prepping, figuring out how we can do things. And then we ran a test of it all the way through 22, figured out what worked, what didn't work, how we could improve in certain areas. And I think it was very important that we tested that, because if we just brought it to market now, we'd just be tripping over our feet all the time, running into problems, making people unhappy, not being able to facilitate work because we've overpromised things. But now it's like we've brought it to a service called Your Video Partner, which in simple terms is a video retainer service, but there's a lot more like strategy behind it than that. And that is something that we're trying to mold into our core service now, because not only do we believe in it 100%, but we know that we'll be able to yield the best results for our clients through a service like that, rather than ad hoc. Because if you just create one piece of content, or even like 10 at one time, there's a chance that it's going to be successful, or we know it will be successful if you run it through ads, but not every business frankly does that, which is surprising to me, but it just is how some businesses work.
It doesn't always work though, does it, for everyone?
They may not see success from that first iteration of content, although we've kind of prepared it for the best success, because we can never 100% guarantee it, but what we can do is create the content that we know your audience will like want to see, right? And hopefully action. But with this service now, we've got more of a proof of concept. It's like, look, yes, you can do it once and it won't work, but what if we do then 10 pieces of content a month, 20, 30, 40, even one of our clients is on around 40 at the moment. Or it could just be one to four. We know for a fact with a strategy behind it, a content strategy, that it will definitely hit the market in a much more successful manner, because the consistency behind video content at the moment is the most important thing.
I think as well, like with some of the clients we work with, they always ask like, can we guarantee that it's going to like perform or go viral or get views and whatnot? And I always say to him, like,
guarantee it goes viral. We should just.
Well, maybe not viral. It's not the right word, but like, are you going to go? Like, I don't know whether to invest in this because I don't know if it's going to work, sort of thing. I said, yeah, we can never, unless you do ads, you can't directly track whether the video is returning you money. But indirectly, if you grow your audience and you're posting consistently, more people are going to find out about the brand. More people are going to see you, and you give yourself that best fighting chance to actually get your brand out there. And if you do nothing, then you're not going to see any results. But if you do something, you've got a chance of people seeing it. And like we're very confident that if you post consistently for like 3 to 6 months on all platforms, LinkedIn, it depends what the business is, obviously, but like we're living proof of that for INOV8. Like we get all of our work through LinkedIn, and like, as you know, we post quite often on LinkedIn, probably more so. Well, we should be posting more at the moment, shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's about practicing what we preach. Like you said, the business now is in a stage where it treats itself as a client as best as it can. Obviously, it's like the problem child is our business, because obviously it's not as a massive of a priority to promote us that it is to facilitate the work for our clients, but we try the best we can to treat ourselves as a client, and that has helped us like bring proof of concept to certain video ideas, certain like, for example, like FAQ films. We know we've been filming them for years. We never knew if they worked or not, but now we know that we know that they definitely work because we've done it for ourselves and we've got that proof. And I think then being able to pitch to new clients, we've created all of the content that we're pitching to you, to ourselves, like for ourselves.
We've tested it,
because we've already tested it. I feel like it becomes an easier sell because we've got literal tangible proof that a video agency who specializes in video have created that video for their own video agency. You should know that it's definitely going to work for you.
That's where we sort of come together somewhat, because you obviously when you're speaking to like marketing managers, directors, CMOs, all that kind of stuff, and it's no disrespect to the craft that you do, but the idea is that you do all the pretty fluffy stuff. And it's like, or you're a videography company, or you're a studio. It's going to be just about the actual like asset, and if it looks good, doesn't it? That's what it's going to be. But actually, the conversation is around the science behind it, in terms of why we're taking this approach, why we shoot in this, or what platforms are you using, and which ones are going to achieve or help you achieve the best results. That's completely different. And what you're saying earlier about the TikTok, Instagram, Reels world and everything that's happening now, everyone's a content producer, content creator. That is the difference between that and you guys in terms of what you do. It is the science and the thinking, and that strategy is such a wishy-washy word in our world, but there is like some real thought behind it in terms of the mechanics of how we get you somewhere. Not just we're going to shoot you an absolute epic video that's going to go on for 5 minutes and it's going to be a brilliant, brand piece, but actually what are we trying to achieve and what content modules are we going to build out that's going to get you to that point. That's a much better thing than what's happening over here.
We definitely, sorry.
It's like the difference between a video production company and a video marketing company. Like I feel like we're very strongly positioned within the video marketing company space because not only are we able to create the content, we're able to advise on the best way to utilize it, and we're able to actually bring a strategy into how you're going to use it. We don't do the marketing, like actual like paid ads or anything. That's your guys' cup of tea. But we're able to prepare the best content possible for then you guys to do your jobs. Do
you see any trends with the brands that you're speaking with, or the ones that you've worked with, that are like, it's just the same thing time and time again that they're not doing right? You keep hearing about it, you're not doing this right. Is there anything specific,
not their clients, because they are whipping them into shape, right?
No, as in like, you're having like conversations about partnerships and working together and this, that and the other, and you're asking them, what are your current strategies, this, that and the other, and they're talking to you and you're thinking, you're not doing this.
I think
what are the main things that they should be doing?
A lot of businesses go into creating video because they feel like they have to, and not because they've necessarily thought about why they're doing it or what the outcome of what they want is. So for example, like a business in Bristol could come to us and they're like, I want to create a brand video, but we're like, why do you want to create a brand video? Like, what's the purpose of it? Do you want to generate sales? Do you want to grow your audience? Do you want to show off the culture in the business? What's the reason? And I think that's the biggest thing for us, is that people come to us just with an idea, but they've not actually thought, like, why am I creating this? What's the reason behind it? And to be honest, that's the first thing you should think about before you even press record on the camera is why you do it. And we definitely, like in the past, weren't as strong on the planning side, but now, like especially with hiring like a producer, and we put a lot of time now into pre-production. And again, we never used to charge for pre-production, We just used to do it, and just it was part of the process for us. But now we actually say to clients, like, we don't have to charge for pre-production, but you won't have us planning anything for you, and that's arguably the most important bit of the job.
100%.
Yeah, to be honest, it's very rare we'll do that now. I won't accept a job that we can't at least have like 4 hours of prep for. So like
even just to create shot lists
and
like, storyboards.
I don't know how we used to do it. We used to rock up and be like, oh, so what we filming today? And then we just like film some like random video, edit it together, and then I chuck it back to them, not hear back from them, not have a clue what they've done with the video. But now like
give me a heart attack.
Yeah, like that gives me like genuine anxiety now, because like I'm like, okay, cool, so we're creating this video. We ask loads of questions on why. It's like, okay, so we're making it for this specific type of audience, which means we need to shoot it in this type of way. When we edit it, we can't get too crazy because it's for a luxury audience, or because it's going out to e-commerce or tech platforms where we're able to like form the edit in a way that's much more appealing to those kind of audiences. And then we'll be like checking in with them after a few weeks, like, how's it performing? Do you need us to create any more hook variations for you? Like first 3 seconds, what's the like click-through rate? When do people drop off? Like we need to know that like the content's working, because obviously our reputation's on the line as well. And now more so, we'll create varied hooks for more or less every piece of content we create for ads. Because we know that you just, with ads, it's a really weird space. No one understands it 100%, even like the people that like the meta that even like run the platforms, right? Because sometimes all you have to change is like the pacing of something, or like one shot in the first like 3 seconds for the difference of that ad like hitting no ROI or for hitting like 14x ROI. Like it's crazy.
You guys have obviously put like a lot of time and effort and research and like study into understanding like this craft and excuse me, and how it works and what doesn't. How do you deal with clients that like really push back and disagree with either your post-production edits or your initial strategy, when you truly know they're not wrong, I'm right, but I need to maintain this relationship? How do you deal with that?
So I'm quite stern on this in the sense that if it's post-production stuff, we would have spoken about it in the pre-production. So if something's going wrong, then it would have been spoken about previously. So it shouldn't happen. And if it does, it's normally because they're trying to change something. In the briefing stage, it's difficult sometimes because people come to us with ideas and they're like quite set out on the ideas, and like we will create your idea for you, but we'll always give advice. It's up to them whether they want to take that advice or not. We try our best, don't we, to sort of talk people into doing something a certain way, or even just getting the most out of their content. But it is difficult sometimes. So you get people who run companies are passionate, aren't they? And they think sometimes they know best, but then at the end of the day, we are the experts in this field. So it's difficult trying to convince people what the right way to do it is. But the best kind of relationship sometimes is when we come to people with ideas. That's what I prefer, because then we know exactly what we're doing. We've done the research into why it works, if your competitors are doing it, all that kind of stuff. So
that's why the video partner works so well, because we literally just take your content by the balls and we can create not only what works, but like they're kind of our ideas, and we've already spoken collaboratively with the client to make sure that they're like approved and everything. But like I feel like that's the best way now, because we know what works in specifically the tech and e-commerce space.
We're going to have to put an affiliate link in for this video partner thing. That's 3 times as tough as now.
I can't even remember what your original. I think you asked us how we started up in the.
How's your day, video partner? So.
Buy it now.
I love it. No, it's brilliant. No, it's good. I love it.
But the other thing as well, so you mentioned. You mentioned before about like when we started out, the biggest thing for us, or the biggest hurdle we've had to overcome, is hiring people. Such a just minefield that we had no idea what we're doing.
You called me, however long ago, a year maybe.
Did he offer you a job?
No, he called me. And he was like, I remember you calling me being like, we need to, how do you hire people? I was like, how do you mean? He's like, what do we look for? Like, because it is hard, especially when the first one as well, because you've got low budgets for salaries. You've never done it before. You're not sure what to look out for. Do I bring someone in who's really experienced? Do I bring someone in like a grad straight out of uni? Do I bring someone in to like pick up all of the donkey work that I don't want to do? Or do I bring someone in who's like super skilled and I can focus? It's like, it is complicated.
Yeah, and I think we, at the start, we still kind of come to you guys with advice now, but we kind of use you guys as like, we didn't know it at the time, but like kind of mentors for how, because you were like probably about you're quite far ahead of us, but within reach in terms of the growth of the business. It's been quite parallel, I think. But you've always been those few steps ahead, so we've been able to come to you guys because we've got such a great relationship and ask for advice. And I can actually remember that call very well because you helped us actually make the final decision on our first hire, who turned out to stay with us for about a year, and she was amazing. And it was the best decision we could have made at that particular point because we were just inundated with applications. For the first hire, we had like a lot.
Hundreds of applications,
about 350, and we were just like, I don't know where to start.
That's a lot of applications.
And funnily enough, we hired the first person that applied.
Yeah.
The first person.
Was that my advice?
It's on top of the inbox. Take it.
Yeah, it was something like that.
I think your advice. Obviously, I was on the call. But Luke said that you said hire the person that is the most passionate. I think it was not necessarily the most skilled. So the person who like you think is going to work the hardest, even if they're not the best currently, you know that they're going to put the work in to get to where they want to be, which was true.
I think that's so important when not necessarily with the first hire, but just when you're early in business, is bringing people into the business just like that, because you always run the risk of bringing in someone who's super skilled or at the level that you want that actually might end up being a little bit better than you guys, and it's kind of creates this weird like imbalance within the company at such an early stage. But also in terms of you want people to be like there with you on that journey, and if they are at your level or slightly above or slightly below, they run the risk of them just wanting to do their own craft and do their own thing. You want like a personality to come in and be like, I want to learn from you guys, I want to come on this journey with you, I'm passionate about it, I want to get into this stuff. That's what we've definitely seen with our first few hires as well. And this is no disrespect to anybody, even if they bloody do listen, but like, again, it wasn't necessarily if they are the most skilled person or has 20 years experience as account managers or project managers. It was more around the personality, fit, type, attitude, energy, attitude, like,
and just that they cared. They just give a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it. Yeah,
they just wanted to do good for you and the company and themselves, and like progress their own career. And
because it's such a personal thing. Because it's like you're like bringing in someone into your like baby. So it's a real personal thing. So you got to get on with them personally.
Exactly.
But also like you're very protective. And I mean, we were like doing we did loads of bloody like Zoom calls because it was like during lockdown, loads of Zoom calls and everything. And I was just like, no, just no. Yeah. And then obviously we spoke about it before about when we had Livia, and I was like, yes, Livia's like awesome. Is exactly the type of person we want to come in. Like just wanting to grab things, help us out. Was fully supportive of us as well personally. So
we've also had clients that turn around to us, literally right before like signing on the dotted line and being like, but we just want to work with you two, like you're going to be involved. And it's like going back to your original question, you've just got to be confident in who you're hiring. And like have their back and like speak to the client about who if they believe in you, they believe in your business and your strategy and your hiring process. You're not going to hire people that can't do the job right and so on and so forth. And just like at the end of the day, you want people to buy into like the business and not just you two.
Yeah, that's we got told that it's probably one of the most important things to understand if you're trying to scale a business. If you want to scale this business, it can't be we're buying into Dell and Ash. It has to be the company in itself. Otherwise,
do you think it's got easier since you've got bigger?
Yeah, 100%. And we've also now we've got a fairly well established team, and we've brought some new people in, and we've built out some desks, and we've filled in some of the gaps in terms of resource as well. It's been a lot better for me and Dale to be like, right, now we're handing you across to, because these people actually are hired to do a very specific job and do it far better than I can do it, because for every one customer I'm speaking to, a client I'm speaking to, I'll have another 5 more to speak to later that day, and we'll have to, and that's, and being quite disciplined with your time. And it's not always the case. I'm not some bloody, like, I'm not preaching like I'm Stephen Barley here. But like in terms of being very disciplined about your time, and obviously your time that you're billing for the client as well, that's actually like one of the things which really knocked us on the head when we started about a year and a bit ago tracking our time.
Yeah,
we
spoke about this recently, actually, tracking time.
Going into project retainers, looking at like what internal resource you spent versus what money's coming in, and then sometimes being like, fuck, like this is way off. Like you can't run a business like this. So there has been a bit of learning where we've had to be very prescriptive in terms of our time. So again, a retainer might say that you've got 10 hours of mine and Dale's time. That 10 hours is for a very specific thing. We can't get into this. Let's just sit down and have a call and all the rest of it. And there's times and places for that, but not during like prescriptive work, and we have to be very clear. And when we're handing things off, we've managed to build some really great people into the business, handing off to people that are specialists in what they do. Like, I couldn't do what Lily does. Like, I know how it works, but I couldn't do what Lily does. I couldn't do what Ariana or Katie or any other.
So getting people who are better than you.
Who know it, better than me, and know it, and not being afraid about that either, to be like, yeah, these guys actually, they're here for a reason. It's not just, you know, I know the mechanics of it and technically how it works and the strategic, like, you know, how to piece it all together, but in terms of actually getting it done and making it work, bringing those right people
The
in.
other thing for me that both of us, what we started doing recently is charging for additional amends. Like, before, we would just do like a couple of hours of extra work just on the house sort of thing. But what we started to realise is that every project needs, like, well, not every project, but a lot of projects, people come back to us with requests that are outside the scope of the project. And before, we would just do it, whereas like now we've realised that we just don't have the time to just keep doing amends upon amends. So we've got to charge for it, otherwise we're out of pocket sort of thing, and these projects are taking ages.
And the clients do scope creep a lot, especially on creative projects, all the bloody time. Like, if you were, we've had quite a few on quite a few occasions when we're designing really simple things like a white paper asset, resource paper, or anything like that, and you do as per the brief, and you have 1 or 2 rounds of amends, and by the second round, you're getting a third and a fourth and a fifth, and all of a sudden, that project that should have taken like a day and a half is now coming to the end of the week, and you're like, crap, it's still out the door.
That's the story of my life.
We've maxed out resourcing, and now we've got other jobs piling up that aren't getting done. There's this whole like knock-on effect. So yeah, that whole discipline thing, we've had to learn it, like, to be honest, because exactly what you said earlier, we just like get jobs and we go and we get really passionate and fired up about it, and we deliver good stuff, but it was never. You're never going to scale a business like that in terms of...
And you mentioned something earlier about distinguishing job titles between the two of you. That's something that we actually only realised like a year ago, because we were just the everything founders at the time. Like, we both just did everything.
Everyone's like
and
that,
we just stood on each other's toes all the time, and then we actually had to sit down and say, like, look, we need to play into our strengths because we are better at certain things. Like Tom, for example, is much more prolific in animation and managing edits. And I was like, to be honest with you, like, editing is not something that I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So Tom then chose the lead editor role. I myself, I'm better at the business side of things, dealing with clients and whatnot, and on set, directing and whatnot. So then I kind of formed the like just director role within the business, and since that's happened, the communication with staff and the clients and everything has been so much better. We didn't it's one of those things you didn't realise you needed to do,
mate. We
until you did
exactly the same here. We didn't realise it was just like the Dale and Ash show, and we just crack on and get stuff done, right? And then you're like, actually, when you start bringing in people and they're like, well, what do I do with this? We had to like learn and coach ourselves into that, because we were like freelance, and Dale had a business before, and I was doing consultancy work before. We never really had like a proper business together. We had to learn all the ropes with all this kind of stuff.
I find it crazy that they don't, like, well, I don't know about now, but when I was at school, they don't teach anything about business, like tax, VAT, hiring people.
I must throw up at our first tax bill.
I
still almost throw up at our tax bill.
Like, people don't, if you don't understand it, some people don't even save for tax, which I find is crazy. And like the other thing as well, like going back to the employing people, is like the HR side of things. Like, that is just something that we underlooked massively. We just thought you hire someone, it's all like happy-go-lucky.
Pay them every month and they come back.
Literally. But then you've got to deal with like lots of issues, and just like people in general. Everyone has their own personal problems, and you've got to listen to people and like actually care about what they're doing and like support them and things like that. And that's another thing that we just at the start we didn't do. But
is that something that because me and Dale, HR side, Dale kind of takes a lead on a lot of that stuff, although we do quite a lot together in terms of like personal development with the team and stuff like that. I started doing in terms of like the day-to-day HR stuff, and generally I've got no interest in it. It's not my bag. I don't get out of bed to do HR. So Dale has naturally like picked that up and does that side of things. Do you guys split those sort of things?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not something that we have perfected. Like, it's every day is a school day, to be fair. We're learning as we go. Like, some of the problems that we get, like, are the first time that we've had those problems, so we just have to deal with it as and when. But to be honest, that's something we haven't distinguished. We both both kind of have our hats in the ring for that at the moment. That's something that we will probably have to do once we scale past like 5+ employees.
Weirdly, we just we've got this company called Bright HR that we're paying for every month. It's like a HR service. We've not used it once, and we pay like 60 quid a month.
I accidentally signed
scrap that. I tell you that was a really good one, and it's free. NatWest Mentor. Go and use that. So there's another plug there.
But I've not even got to the worst part of this. So we've not paid for, we've not used it at all, but we've been paying 60 quid a month. So we've gone to cancel it. Lucas signed us up for a 5-year contract. Yeah.
Honestly,
is that even a thing?
I was like, there's no way I did that.
Basically,
no way I did that.
Just remember, you do the business side of it.
Yeah,
he does all the business.
Well, bear in mind, I signed up to this about 2 years ago, so we're quite far into this agreement.
Yeah.
We've used it once for a contract.
Is that even a thing? A 5-year deal?
Yeah, I was like, on the phone, right? He never said like this is a 5-year contract. Like you can't get out of it.
No, he said 60. No, he did. He said 60 months, but he didn't say you couldn't get out. He didn't say you couldn't get out of it. You have to pay like 80% of what's left to get out of it. So
like you just assume these days that you can just like get out of things, don't you? Because with subscription services, exactly, and that was obviously very negligent at the time. I wasn't paying 100% attention. It was just a problem that I needed solving. So I was like, okay, we'll get a Bright HR. We probably shouldn't name drop, but I've already given HR.
I say I'm annoyed at them. I understand because I called them and I was like, but we didn't realise. And he was like, but you had a contract. And I was like, but I didn't read it properly.
You didn't make it obvious. And I looked at it on ChatGPT. You can get that sorted. That's
in all like HR. So we've gotten better with one-to-ones and actually actioning problems and finding solutions to them, but it's not something we've perfected. I'll hold my hands up and say like there's things that we could definitely be improving on. But like the thing is, like as a small team, as you know, you're busy all the time. So to find time to like kind of action everything and like perfect how to run the people to people internally kind of thing with problems that you didn't even know were problems.
I don't know how you guys do it with such like it takes up so much of our time just making sure everyone's got jobs to do.
HR office manager.
Oh, you've got one of you?
Eventually,
yeah, she kicked ass.
Yeah, she's good.
She structures the whole thing. So we've started doing like personal development plans and career goals and all sorts of different things now, which it's taken a lot of time to set up. And then we have 1 day a month set aside for me and Dale where we sit down with every single member of staff and go through their like sort of nano and quarterly goals and annual goals and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
There's one other topic that I wanted to discuss with you super quickly is around personal branding. I mean, discussing it for like yonks, haven't we? Like, I'm just terrible at doing it all the time in terms of like getting myself out there, in front of people, whether it's through like video or LinkedIn or whatever it is. You guys seem to have picked it up like really well over the last year. Was it like, I know you're videographers, but you're normally used to being on the other side of the camera. Like, was it hard?
I mean, it was a shaky start. Like, if you saw a few of the first videos, you probably wouldn't be asking me this question.
Because I'm crap on camera. I absolutely hate it. He's not too bad because he just starts talking and then within like 3 seconds he's off and then he forgets about the camera.
I think you've just got to like switch in your head and just go for it. Just pretend you're like a YouTuber or something talking to a massive audience.
So
even if there's only one person watching it.
Do you? Just have a...
Literally, so we started out doing it like ages ago. When we started out we were very sort of monotone. I still think I'm monotone now, and actually weirdly I filmed a couple of internal videos the other day and I watched them back and like I was twitching my face and stuff and I just like wasn't happy. My eye was twitching the whole way through.
Really?
It's weird, like I really enjoy it now. Like it's something that at school hated. Any presentation, you'd find me at the back of the class like hiding behind a book. But now like I actually quite enjoy it. I think when you know enough about a certain subject that you know that you can...
You get fired up by it, right? I do.
For example, like now, even part of our sales process is literally me hopping on camera, speaking to the person that's never heard of me before, saying, like we noticed X, Y, and Z, this is how we can help. Just like off the cuff and sometimes scripted. Like I think... For me, practice makes perfect, as with anything. Like it's never something I thought we'd be good at, but through kind of default and doing them because we know we need to make this type of content if we want to get ourselves out there and get ourselves seen as a business. Just just have to do it. Like,
there's no like easy answer. And also the other thing, going back to what we said previously, that we preach to our clients to do this, and that not necessarily for them to film it themselves, but we'll come in and film like a load of LinkedIn videos for you or whatever, or a load of Q&A videos or whatever it is. So if we're not doing it ourselves, we can't expect other people to do it too. So we could be like, look, we do this, we get this many views, it's like we've got a lot of our business from doing this as well. So we're living proof, or we've got clients we've done it with as well. So I think that if we've got to practice what we preach, really.
And we're no experts at personal branding. I think we're just like we're just good enough at it at the moment. Like we've got a lot of room to grow.
And people resonate with people on LinkedIn. Like we never post from our business account on LinkedIn because no one really cares about it. But when we post from our personal accounts, and when people see your face on LinkedIn, they're like, oh, what have they got to say, sort of thing. Instead of just posting up like a cool video or whatever, I think when people can actually hear you and see you, it means a lot. And
if there's a purpose behind it, and you're either providing entertainment, value, or insight, I think that's like, as long as you can hit one of those three metrics, if not all, I think you've got a pretty good recipe for some good personal branding.
Before we do, where can we go to learn more about INOV8?
INOV8.studio.
INOV8.studio is our website. INOV8 Studios on LinkedIn, and INOV8 Film on Instagram. I know it's a bit confusing, but
awesome.
Thank you very much
for having us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. Please follow the podcast. We can find us on Spotify and social media.